Alright, we got something a bit different today. This bit of a post-com action because I couldn't live com this because I was sweating really hard trying to win. And when I live com, I play a lot worse than when I don't, because talking and microing and thinking about playing at the same time is really difficult. Anyway, so this guy is Abiz Kek, I think that's how you pronounce it. Really, really good player. We have a best of 3 tournament here. The Discord link will be in the description for the Discord that organized this tournament, so be sure to check that out. But anyway, let's get into the gameplay. So his playstyle is monumentally irritating to me. I prefer a really, really passive playstyle, which doesn't jive at all with what he's been doing. So as you saw at the beginning, the starting map was offside, and instead of going DFA like most people do, this man went Cobra. So right away you can tell that this guy he's got a different sort of play style to most people. He's got some interesting things that he does. I mean, it's obviously good to test yourself against new types of opponents, different play styles, different strategies from time to time, but stepping outside of your comfort zone it's called your comfort zone for a reason. Anyway, so let's get into the gameplay. So he started with the Cobras, which means that the first round was anti-stalled, so I couldn't do the standard get your 0-0 farm up and then get the 1-0 before you get your dart monkey up, so you get enough bananas to afford your triple dart by 42 seconds game time, which is why we're down so many lives and why our farms at this point in the game are terrible. So I want to force more than just that 0-0 mortar that he has, so I balloon boost and blasted him actually, because he's been forcing me to get up a ton of defense here. He forced the 2 triple darts and a spalt before round 7, which is good for him because it means that I can spend less money on farms, but I didn't want him to be able to do the same thing, except with Cobra farms, so I forced the Bernie stuff mortar, so he'd have to invest more into his defense rather than getting up more Cobra farms. I go for another farm here. He's sending spaced eco here. I think his eco has got to be around 425, 430-ish at this point in the game, which is pretty good for the anti-stall that he's been doing throughout the game, especially in the early part. Our farms aren't terrible considering the anti-stall that he's been doing, but they aren't great, and it's even worse when you consider how bad our eco is. So I'm kind of forced to greed for this 0-0 farm here, and I go for this 1-0. He sends a ton of yellows, which is an effective rush, especially blended with the round 9 AI. I send him a couple regen leads, which is sometimes really effective against a Cobra player because all of their Cobras are targeted to strong, and if they target the regen leads, and when the regen leads pop into blacks, it's they don't target the blacks, they target the next regen leads that you send. He forces me to boost here with some regen leads of his own, which isn't ideal, but we made it work. But I get up the second Spolt here because I know he's going to have a re-rush here, counter-rush, whatever it's called. He boosts Camgrow lead, some zebras, and some whites at me. Tiny rush, but it forces me to sell a farm, spam some trip darts. That was kind of a clutch defend there. I thought I was going to die, but I managed to survive with 10 lives. He's smiling because he knows he got me to sell a farm, so that's good for him because every time you sell a 2-0 farm, you lose something like $600, I think, ish, because the selling price is around $2,500, and if $2,500 is 80% of about $3,000 or so, so it's $500 to $600 that you lose because you only get 15% back when you sell. So I'm thinking here, there's no way I'm going to be able to go for my BIA because which is what I usually want to do because of my passive playstyle, but he's starting the balloon adjustment already, so and he's rushing with lead, so I'm gonna need a boost here. So I boost some leads at him, but he has his cannon on last, and he chokes that. He messaged me after this game was over, and he was like, "Yeah, I choked that. My cannon was on last." So he picked Park for the second map. I decided to go Cobra because this is a Cobra map because there's two different paths. The AI and the scent path go in opposite directions, which makes Cobra a ton more effective, especially when you layer balloons in with the balloon adjustment. So we both have identical starts in terms of our towers. The placements are slightly different. He's got his Cobras down at the bottom. I've got mine more toward the top. I'm going with tack shooter. He's going to be going with a mortar, and I think he brought bomb here, if I'm not mistaken. I prefer the tack shooter because the Blade Maelstrom is a really good ability. So, but we'll see how this game plays out. So what I like to do for starting in terms of Cobras, like when I'm playing a Cobra strategy, is I like to go to 275 eco, and that lets me perfectly afford my mortar by the beginning of round 3. Some people like to go to 258, which lets them afford their mortar slightly earlier. I prefer to get that bit of extra eco early game because, I mean, the earlier you can get your eco up, the more dividends it pays later into the game. I get up my faster shooting here, faster reload for my mortar immediately because I know he's going to be sending some grouped eco, and not having that up means that the mortar, I'm going to have to retarget it in order to stop leaking. And if you get your mortar chasing, then you're just going to be on the back foot for the rest of the game as long as your opponent keeps sending eco. So I decided to just get my rapid reload up early on. Here, I decided to go for an upgraded tack shooter instead of upgrading my mortar like he does. He's got the Bernie stuff mortar, and he's got one more Cobra than we do, but we definitely have a slight eco advantage, maybe 20 or so-ish on him, because he sent a lot of spaced eco last round, as opposed to grouped eco that I was sending. He was sending a lot of pinks instead of blues. So we've got a slight advantage there. He's got the Cobra farm advantage. He's got a little bit less money invested into his defense. So all in all, I think he's slightly outplaying me at this point in the game. But you know, we're just going to chug on. At this point, I think, yeah, I sent him a gigantic yellow rush because I boost it too, because I want to try to get some yellow balloons past that mortar. Boosted yellows can pass the Bernie stuff mortar on most maps, and he leaks down here, I think, a decent amount. Yeah, he leaks about 40 lives. I think exactly 40 lives, actually. So I think that was pretty worthwhile, because you don't really use your balloon boosts when you're playing with the Cobra. I mean, typically anyway. He counter rushes me with a bunch of yellows of his own, so I have to get a display shooter, and I still leak a ton. I have to burn a bunch of spikes. I have to burn all my spikes, actually, and I leak a lot more than him. So his rush was more successful than mine, somehow, even though I had more defense than he did. I guess his mortar targeting was just better. So I sent some region leads at him, and I'm forcing him to get up a cannon. He's going to leak a bit here, though, because of what I was saying last game about region leads and Cobra. But he does have the cannon as opposed to my tack shooter. So, excuse me, so that's interesting. Round 12 comes, we got to get a camo detection. He doesn't have his up yet, so I send a few camo space pinks just to force them to get that $750 upgrade. And at this point in the game, our eco is fat. Like 660 eco as a Cobra player by round 13 is, I mean, that's really, really good. In terms of Cobra farms, he's got, what, 10? We've got 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's our 11th. So we're slightly ahead. Oh no, he's got 2 of those at the bottom. So he's got 12, so he's slightly ahead. But we definitely have at least like a 30 to 40 eco advantage on him. Like at least. So that should play out for us in terms of our favor. Longer term, I should say. But the problem is, Cannon is a lot better at defending balloon adjustment than tack shooter is, and I should have known he was going to be going with the Cobra, and I should have known that he's going to be bringing Cannon, because that's what he's been doing this entire series. That's just how his playstyle is. So I should have brought Cannon myself, but no matter. Hindsight's 2020. So here, I think we start the balloon adjustment process. We've got a decent amount of money laying around, so I invested all into balloon adjustments, and you can see his side is already starting to get pretty chaotic. We're going to need to get up a second mortar, which we do, because leads are going to be a gigantic problem for us, as well as scent camos. So you've got the camos coming out from the balloon adjustment on the AI side, as well as if he decides to send camos, so we're going to need 2 mortars for that. Also, because the mortar explosion actually has a pop limit, some of the balloon adjustment balloons can get through. So, for example, a camo ceramic could get through a mortar explosion if there's a ton of other balloons that are also covered by that same explosion, which can, obviously it would kill either one of us because both of us have fewer than 104 lives. So that would be really annoying. I get up a third mortar here, targeted toward the start of the scent path because of the scent leads. And he's been sending leads from when he started balloon adjusting awning. From when he started to balloon adjust on, I don't know what that was, what I was saying there, but so he decides to send a BFB here, which is a smart rush because I don't have a misdirection up. I actually almost die there because my Cobras start to target the BFB instead of the AI balloon adjustment. But this should be an easy defend for me. Just a couple maelstroms and I should be able to defend. But here you can see my micro is not really, it's pretty terrible actually. And those ceramics from those Moabs get by my maelstrom and I go down. So that's unlucky. So the series is 1-1 at this point. So I chose the third map as Waddle. I really love this map. I should have known he was going to go aggressive with his playstyle because that's what he's been doing this entire series. I thought he might have gone Cobra, but spiking the beginning is not smart if you're going to go Cobra. So I knew he must have brought boat farm something because spiking the beginning is an aggressive boat move. So I brought Dart Farm Ace because I thought I could pull off a passive strategy and get an early BIA because that's what I normally do. But his aggressive playstyle really just threw a wrench into the works of my strategy here. But I love this map. This is probably one of my favorite maps in the game because the triple dart spot is so good on this map because if you target it toward last, it can defend group blues on round 4 for a very long time before you have to get up more defense because it just keeps targeting the blue layer and then the balloons come around again for another shot, so the triple dart effectively has twice as long to pop it, and you can see that in action here. So it's so good that I actually am able to greed for my plantation, and we won't leak more than like 60 or 70 lives here. On most maps, if you did that, you would leak down to like 10 lives, and that's even with using all of your spikes. But on this map, you'll be fine, honestly. It's going to hurt, obviously, but there's always a price for greed, but you can still do it. Which, against a playstyle like this, if you're going to play passive, you need to greed. Because the whole point of a playstyle like his is to force you to buy defense and not invest it into farms. So the more that you can greed, the better you can counter that playstyle. So here I'm doing the same thing that I did with the blues. I targeted that triple dart on last temporarily to target those greens and destroy them while I continue to farm. I sent him a few blacks to force that 1-1 upgrade on his boat. But as you can see here, we burnt all of our spikes, but we've leaked fewer than half of our lives. We've only leaked a total of 70 lives so far. 130 if you count the spikes as lives, but considering we've got 2 plantations in the middle of round 7, that's fantastic. especially considering that he's been playing so aggressive this entire game. And we're going to be able to afford our Spolt here if he sends yellows, but if I remember correctly, yeah, he goes for his farm instead of sending yellows. He sends a few whites, which I get up a 0-2 Dart Monkey to help defend against, and at this point we leak a few more lives. He gets up he starts sending the yellows that I was talking about earlier, and I'm forced to boost because I didn't have enough money for a Spike of Pulp, which is unlucky, but it's not the worst thing in the world. We do leak down to 37 lives, which isn't ideal either, but we're alive. We live to fight another day. Here I put that one Dart Monkey on strong to target the regrows, but it doesn't work very well, so I have to get up another one. Put that one on strong as well, but that's not working either, so I have to target my Jug on first to get those regrows. Luckily I got my boost back in time. We still leak here a bunch, but we're still alive, and that's what matters. So I send him some camos here because he got up his boomer for the leads. I don't even remember if I sent leads, but whatever, he got up his boomer anyway. I'm getting up a few more spalts here, at least the start of some spalts, just for the aggression that I know is about to be sent by him. And we end up defending his... He sends like a tiny rush of, I think, white balloons, which, I mean, it scared me enough that I had to get a couple of spalts to defend it, but I did defend it in the end, so... and at this point I'm just farming on. He's got a gigantic eco lead on us, but I mean we've got a sizable farm lead on him, so that's okay. And in the end, the eco lead is, I mean, it's good for him, but we've got a farm lead that's large enough that it shouldn't make too much of a difference. I mean, I think it's about even in terms of money. I have to boost to a region lead rush that he sends my way. I send this camo ceramic here at him, and then I have to worry about this gigantic rainbow rush with leads and everything that he sent toward me. He leaks down the entire ceramic. Like, I didn't realize it at the time, but he leaked the entire ceramic. It just went straight through his defense. I was too busy getting up 3 jugs to defend his rush because I didn't have any boost, that I didn't notice it at the time. But we've got a significant advantage now. Like, the tide of the game is completely turned toward us because of that gigantic leak. So here he has to boat pull this Moab that I send at him. I'm forced to fan club because I don't have any boosts. So I sell some spalts, some farms, get up the fan club. He ends up selling his farms to get up the boat pull and a turbocharge, which is really expensive to fend for the amount of balloons that I send at him, so I was completely fine with that. He sends me a bunch of region leads here again, so I get up 3 jugs because I wasn't taking any chances. And even then it barely defends, but with all these triple darts that I got up for the Moabs, it defends. And at this point, I send another Moab because I was seeing how low his farms were and how much money he had to spend to defend the last Moab that I sent at him. So I send another one at him. This time, I followed up with leads again, and it blends perfectly with the round 20 AI leads. He turbocharges here, which, I mean, good for him. But then here, I think he chokes because he sells the wrong boomerang, and he didn't have a turbocharge up. He couldn't micro quickly enough, and he went down. So that was interesting. So yeah, here's a DM. Here's the DMs after the game. So that's basically how that series went. So 2-1 me. GG sir. Abhishek. If you enjoyed that though, like, subscribe. It's going to be on the end of this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.